All right, thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me on archive. I'm being joined by the Shushan 408. Maestro A will be joining us momentarily. And of course, we have Major Key Boxing on here as well. We're being joined by the one and the only Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you guys for the invitation on your show. I'm excited for this interview.
All right, absolutely, man, absolutely. I first want to ask you about your upcoming fight. It looks like you're going to be on the undercard of the pay-per-view, Andy Ruiz and Ortiz, King Kong Ortiz, and fighting against, that's going to be Jazarel Corrales. And what do you know about your opponent, and how confident are you going into this fight?
I think he's a good fighter. He's a tricky fighter. I've seen him a few of his fights. I think it's a good test for me. He's a guy who can make the night very long. If I don't come well prepared, but I've done my homework. I put in the work. And the camp's going great, and I'm very confident about this fight. I think this is perfect kind of fight that I need, a perfect kind of opponent. He's ranked number 2, so it'll give me more leverage to ask for bigger and better fights. And I'm just very happy to be back in LA and putting on another great show on Fox pay-per-view.
It's on Fox pay-per-view. I mean, moving on up a little bit there. Is preparation going good? How's preparation? Any aches, any pains? Are you feeling 100%? How's it going so far? Preparation, sparring?
Preparation's going well. I feel I'm in shape. I'm ready. I'm ready to go 12 rounds. I believe the fight's 10 rounds, so I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling fast. I'm happy. And happy fighters are always dangerous. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, before I let everybody else in the panel ask some questions, I want to ask you this. It's something I noticed. You had an altercation with Raleigh Romero, right? And I noticed you had a drink in your hand, and you walked up, you didn't put the drink down or nothing. Like, you walked up to him still drinking. Like you weren't worried about nothing. Like, you weren't worried that this dude might do something. Like, you still had your drink in your hand.
Yeah,
What were you thinking in that moment?
I was drinking coffee. Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't put the cup down.
I had already seen him. It was nothing. It was nothing earlier, and I went up to him, kind of just tapped him on the shoulder when he was eating, just to see what his energy was like, and it was nothing. So I kept it. I was being civil about it. But when I was going back to the hotel later in the day, he was coming out. I asked him when was we gonna fight, and I was about to walk in the elevator. He was like, nah, this and that. And so I just kept going, like, all right. But he started getting a little loud. I started doing a lot the further I left. So my light turned off. So I had to let him know, go to his face and tell him I was gonna knock his ass out. It wasn't nothing. It was just,
It was whatever, right? Gotcha. Well, we're also being joined by Maestro. How's it going, Maestro? You have any questions?
Yeah, good. Thank you, D-Style, for having me on. And Rayo, great to see you again. Last time I saw you was at the Barclays when I interviewed you there and Team Benavides. And it was great to see you. Great to see you again here, too. Talk to me, Rayo, about your short-term goals. I know long-term, we spoke about this when I saw you in Brooklyn. Obviously, you want to be a world champion at 135 pounds. But what are your short-term goals? Talk to me about 2022. Talk to me about 2023.
I think my short-term goal is getting through guys like Corrales. I want to be in there with a guy like Frey Martin, hopefully soon, and or Rivera, Pitbull, and then start climbing the ladder. Start really, really climbing the ladder.
There you go. And just a follow-up, a lot of attention in the lightweight division is focused on Top Rank. Obviously, they have Devin Haney. They have Teofimo Lopez. Devin Haney is also going to be taking on his rematch with Gambosis. On your side of the street, who are the top guys at 135 pounds? And will you see yourself at any point having to make a fight on the other side of the street with one of these top-ranked fighters?
I think obviously Pitbull. You know, obviously first of all was Tank. You know, you gotta recognize him because he has the belt in our side. And then Pitbull, and then I believe it's me. But you know, I'm gonna get to Pitbull and I will beat him. And I think after that, it'll just be easier if probably me and Tank get in there and fight, is a fight that I would love. Um, and I think once I get a hold of one of the belts, I'm gonna go for the rest. And I don't. It doesn't matter if they're with top rank or not. But right now, there's a lot of great fights over there. But I need some leverage. You know, I need leverage to ask for those fights. And the only way to do that is to beat these guys on this side first, give me a belt, and then move forward.
You know what? I love that. I love that Pitbull fight, and it looks like a collision course is already there. You fought a common opponent in Vargas. Obviously, you sparked him out in a round. He went a full, I believe it was 10 rounds with him.
Full,
So
the full fight. It was he went to decision.
yeah, he went to the decision. Did that give you confidence in your power? Because Pitbull's known for having power. He couldn't knock out Vargas, and you knocked him out in 1 round.
Um, I think I know I carry power. You know, I just just me placing the right shots, and just kind of like sitting down with more experience that I'm getting. I think it's that's coming alone by itself. These knockouts. Just gotta be patient, use my jab box, and do what I do, and then slowly start landing the big shots.
All right, Major Key. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, you got a very big buzz going on, so I appreciate you being here and allowing me to ask some questions to you, brother. You know what I'm saying? I know you're a young lion right now, 23 years old. You're doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? About a 60, two-third knockout ratio. You got a little buzz going on right now. You know what I'm saying? So you're saying the right things because you're calling out those names to try to build that resume. What I want to hear though, because until those fights come to fruition, just to kind of piggyback off of Maestro, looking at the future, right? How long do you see yourself at 135? Do you see yourself carrying over to maybe 140, 147, and things of that nature? And if so, like what time frame do you give us?
Definitely. I'm not leaving this division until I get a hold of a belt. I want to be a multiple division world champion. I will sacrifice myself as much as I need and I'll sacrifice myself. Be stay focused and be disciplined as much as I need to. I want to be great, and I gotta do these things to be great. After that, I'll go up to 40, chase the guys at 40.
Well, I appreciate that, and also just to follow up one more question. And so, all right, so you're gonna carry you're gonna carry yourself at this weight, stay disciplined to get a belt, right? Um, uh, great, you know what I'm saying, mindset, trying to get a belt to become multi-level. That helps with the Hall of Fame talk, in the future, right? So when you carry yourself up, or do you see yourself following in the same kind of division? Because I know some people just follow the same division, trying to get into that little ranking system in that particular division, or do you see yourself just going full fledged? Because we were talking about the different sides of the streets and stuff like that, different ranking systems with different sanctioning bodies. Do you just see yourself going full fledged at anybody, or like, or do you have like a game plan already? Or is how you're gonna approach the whole situation?
At 40, or you're just talking in general? I mean,
Yeah, like
I'm gonna
right now,
take.
if you get a belt, right? If you get a belt right now, right, and then you move up to 140, would you be following the same sanctioned body kind of guidelines to get a ranking up there, or is it just full smoke, full blown smoke?
If I get a belt at 35 and I still feel good, then I'm gonna chase the guys in the other side of the street, for sure.
Gotcha.
I won't move up to 40 after grabbing that belt. Um, but if I do go up to 40, then I'll grab I'll try to get a hold of a belt here, and then look for the other options. But
Respect. Thank you for answering. I'll pass it along.
if I get a belt at 135, I would try to hold it. I think if I would on the other side of the street, I see with me in the future is a great fight is with Shakur Stevenson. That's a
Ooh,
fight
Like that
that
one.
that that really
ooh,
really
okay.
turns me on because I think he's a great technical fighter, and he would really challenge me. I feel like and bring the best out of me. And But I still got a lot of work to do. I gotta keep doing what I'm doing. Focus on these fights that they got in front of me, and then move forward.
I like that, man. I'll pass it off, man. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Rayo, thanks for being here. PBC's got some slick Mexican southpaws like Jesus Ramos Jr., who fights much heavier than you. But do you consider yourself the hardest hitting southpaw, Mexican southpaw that PBC has in their stable?
I think so.
And do you think that's why Rolly Romero is avoiding you?
Yeah. I think I'm just the I'm a tough fight for anybody. I think I've said this a few times. I think I'm a harder fight for these guys than they are for me, stylistically speaking. I'm to them it's a fight. It's a hard, tough, annoying fight. A guy who's gonna throw a lot, he's gonna pressure you. So I don't think the style of fight that would really interest Rolly.
Yeah. Also, to follow up, this weekend was all about Teofimo Lopez, and hardcore boxing fans know that you, reportedly knocked him out within 30 seconds of your spar sessions. So is that a fight that you see possible, even though you guys work with different promotional companies, seeing it at 140 pounds in the future? Professional?
The history though, is there, so that's always a fight to be made. I like that fight. I didn't see it. I wasn't too impressed by his performance.
You think you got to talk yourself into that fight?
I first got to win. I gotta fight myself into that fight. A lot of fighters are talking themselves into fights nowadays. I don't believe in that. I want to fight myself into big fights.
Thanks a lot, Rayo.
You know what? When I watch you fight, you're tall for the division. You're rangy, but you could also fight on the inside. You could punch. Who are some of your inspirations? Growing up, boxing. Who like some inspirations you got?
I was the first fighter I really kind of excited me was Manny Pacquiao. I followed Manny Pacquiao a lot. Then my dad introduced me to the Chavez, Salvador Sanchez. But as I was growing up, all those guys were just guys I looked up to, and but guys I really kind of watched were a lot of lefties like Edwin Valero. I used to love his killer instinct. I used to love boxers. I mean, I still do. I used to watch a lot of Lara, Earl Spence, Pernell Whitaker. And then I would just kind of, a lot of Manny Pacquiao too as well, and Floyd Mayweather here and there. But I try to watch a lot of everybody. But
I just picked around and
just kind of the names. Those are kind of the names that I would stick around. I kind of worked around them.
Okay, all right. Now I want to ask you about Seattle, Washington. Because how is it there? Is it when you go out for a run or just for a walk, whatever, just out? Do people recognize you? Is it like, hey, give me an autograph? Are you well known? Because it's not known as a big boxing city. You know what I mean?
No. That not if I'm out of run, if I'm out of probably not. But if I'm going into the city and if I'm going to go out to the club or something, then they'll recognize me.
Okay, so it's like the young crowd pretty much that knows you?
Yeah, it's it's kind of like the people in the that just like on the social media, like the crowd, that they're tuned in to to what's hot right now. Like they follow me, and stuff like that.
So give us a brief kind of story of how did you end up from Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, to all the way up there in Washington? Like, what's the story behind that?
Just grew up in Mexico. Born in Mochi. Then moved to Nogales. I think I was about like 3 years old. I was ran over by a car, and it was just tough living situation. My parents came to the States. My dad was in the States. Then brought the family over, and then just kind of I had an aunt at the time that was living in Seattle, so we made our way up to Seattle, and that was kind of how it all started. On the way, all that I was doing a lot of fighting. I was just be outside in the neighborhood, getting in fights all the time, and in school. So my dad was always a big boxing fan. He used to watch. used to always watch Salvador Sanchez fights and stuff like that, and put the fight, buy the fights, and it was always a thing. So he always used to tell me like, I'm gonna take you to the gym. I'm gonna take you to the gym. And one day, one of his friends actually had a son as well that he had him boxing. So my dad, he took me to the gym. Unfortunately, the gym, was 2 hours away. I was probably about like 11 years old. So my dad, they would just sacrifice himself, making minimum wage. He would drive me 2 hours there, train 2 hours back. And as soon as I was in there, I put the gloves on and I let my hands go. They could tell like I was just different. Like I had this different, like anger in me. Like I'll use it to my advantage. All my energy, as a kid. So he stuck with me. He believed in me. And I couldn't believe what it was. Like when he told me like I can make $1 million and take my mom out to struggle and stuff like that, I was like, they're gonna pay me all this money. I was just a kid, like to beat that kid up. And he was like, yeah, if you dedicate yourself the right way and you do things right. So I stuck with it. And later on met through a mutual friend, Benavides. I was like about 17 at the time. Made my way down to Oregon because he was only like 3 hours away. And so, he took me in, checked me out, and the rest is history.
All right. That's an awesome story, man. I want to ask you, so someone in the chat, I mean, this is not, it's a fake Chris Colbert, but Chris Colbert in the chat is ask him about Keyshawn Davis calling him out and saying that you're slow and that he'll KO you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know what he fight at 130, 35. Is he at 35? I would take a fight with him right now. I would stop all that. I would stop all his hype. He's still talking about amateurs and Olympics, and all that speed is different when you're in there with a real power puncher and the rounds start getting tight and you on. It's a long 10-round fight. You're not shaking nothing, man. I'll beat these guys.
Let's go ahead, Maestro.
No, I was actually going to ask about. I asked Rayo when I saw him in Brooklyn about the whole Seattle experience because it is different. Let's just say, for a fighter to come out of Seattle. And now you guys have created quite a big deal out there because David Benavides is training out of Seattle too. But let me actually ask you about your amateur background for a second. Was there ever a possibility of you fighting as an amateur for Mexico?
When you don't got funds, man, I wasn't even, I had 50 amateur fights. I couldn't go to those big tournaments. My parents didn't have the funds like that at the time to, take me out. They did what they could. I couldn't ask for too much. So, I stayed up here in the Pacific Northwest and did what I could. I had like 50 fights. I lost 5. But no, I wish I could have, man. That would have been amazing.
No, I'm glad you point that out because finances are a huge problem as it relates to the amateur game. And it's definitely an impediment to people kind of reaching their maximum potential. Let's talk about this Saturday that's coming up, right? You were asked about Teofimo last Saturday. I'm going to ask you about the big heavyweight fight taking place Saturday in Saudi Arabia. What are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua seeking revenge against Alexander Usyk? How do you see that fight?
That's a good fight. It'll be competitive, but I think Usyk takes it. I think his boxing IQ and his style might be a little too much for Anthony Joshua. I think he'll be a step ahead of him every time. Anthony Joshua is a great fighter too. He is the new trainer, so I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. But if I had to bet on somebody, I would bet my money on Usyk.
The southpaw, right?
Yes.
There you go. Dave?
I saw an interview where you mentioned finances as far as you going into the national tournaments, piggybacking on what the Milcar was just talking about. Do you think that's a broken system we have in the States where kids who can't afford it can go on to the highest levels of amateur sport? Because here we have someone like Keyshawn Davis, who is an Olympian, silver medalist, and he's calling you out, but you're having equal success professionally. So you think that's something broken?
that's he worried about other things. I've been in there with a lot of Olympics. I sparred Teofimo when I wasn't even a pro yet, and he was I don't know an Olympic too, I guess. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't got nothing to do with that. These are the pros, man. It's a whole different game. I'm glad I didn't go to the Olympics. You know, even if I would have had I'm glad my thing went how it went, because my style is made for the pros. You know, and when they in there with a guy, you know, they're gonna see. You know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure. You know, I mean, there's no commission. Like, there's not like, you know, boxing not so big and stuff like that. So, you know, you just gotta work your way around it. You know, but I always stay like I was always tuned in. Like, I wasn't there, but I was always, you know, I was keeping tabs on everybody who I could potentially fight and stuff like that. And, you know, I was always watching and did what I could, even though I wasn't, you know, competing.
Everybody being joined by Jose Rayo Valenzuela. I want to give a shout out to Tony Boswell. I appreciate the support, brother. He said, much respect. D-Stop Boxing in the chat. Stopped in to show support. Hit the like button. Salute 100%. We also want to thank El Rayo for sharing his time with the channel. Absolutely. Go ahead, Michiki.
So, before I ask my real question, so just to clarify, who exactly is your promoter?
I'm signed with Al Heyman.
Oh, so it's not because of the fact that that's why I was questioning. I wasn't sure if you were signing Samson or if you were signing Al Heyman. Okay,
Al Heyman is my advisor.
Okay, got you. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because there's a different situation with David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted to clarify. So thank you for clarifying that. But yo, I want to hear about your experience. Like, tell us about an experience that nobody knows about you. One of your crazy experiences. Like, did you fight a Sasquatch over there, running through the hills and mountains of you know what I'm saying, Seattle, Washington, or like did you get a glimpse of dog man? Like you know what I'm saying, like or like some crazy experience with actual boxers, like the first time you went to an event or something like that? Tell us something that nobody knows. I want to hear about that, like something a crazy experience that nobody knows.
I mean, that's a good question, but I can't really think off the top of my head. I mean, it was just, you know, the gym, you know.
My bad. I do
Stays
that
away
a lot.
from the craziness.
Yeah. You know, just the gym.
I'm just checking.
Yeah, as far as boxing, when it came down to boxing, I never tried to mix boxing with anything I was doing, or you know what I'm saying, with no females, with no nothing. Boxing was like my sanctuary, so I was always trying to, like, it was my temple. So, you know, when I came here, it was just peace and work, you know. So it was very rare.
So no experiences then?
Nah, not with boxing.
Okay, I like that. You mentioned boxing is your temple, your sanctuary. How was your childhood? Like me, I remember my childhood playing with my friends, going out, going to Juarez, Mexico, getting crazy, getting drunk. That's my, like. How was your childhood? You know, being a teenager, were you focused on boxing too much? You know, like, did it affect your childhood in any way? You know, did you have did you spend enough time with your friends like you wanted to because of boxing? Like, how was that experience?
I just grew up like in the neighborhood, you know, fighting a lot and stuff like that, being outside. Then I joined boxing. And then I was just kind of out the way, you know. I was just you're out the way more, but I'm glad, you know. I don't go to change nothing. I didn't spend. I mean, obviously you don't go to, you know, parties. You don't go to birthdays. You know, you don't do all that stuff. But I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. And to be honest, I never really cared because I used to love. I mean, boxing. I still love it. It was a passion of mine, and I used to love it. So it wasn't. You know, I didn't feel any kind of way about it.
Have you ever have you woken up from a dream, like, you know, you won the world championship or something like that? Are those dreams you have?
Definitely. You know, I've been since I was little. You know, all the time. That's all I think about. I've been thinking about since I was 10. Every single day, there's not a day that goes by that you know, I see myself at being a world champion. You know, the crowd screaming my name, cheering me, and so. Of course, you know, I dream about it. It's just in me now.
So I want to ask you this to follow up. Do you think those are dreams or visions?
Uh, they could be both. But I'm very confident I will get there. Um, and I see myself holding that belt soon. Hopefully next year.
Okay. And a question I'd like to ask here, like if let's say 30 years from now, someone writes a book about you. They sit down, they write the story of Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. When someone's finished with that book, what do you want people to come off thinking about you?
I was I'm a good person, a hardworking person, dedicated, somebody who chases dreams. And that was the only thing. I've been focused on my dreams and chasing my dreams, and just focused on one thing since I was 10. And even though I had ups and downs, and how to deal with the lights being off when you come home, the rent, was eviction letters, stuff like that. I always stayed focused because I knew it was my job, my duty to get my family and find my way out of it. And and I still got a lot more to do, but I think that's I stayed disciplined. I stayed disciplined through the ups and downs.
Awesome. I'm gonna name you a name. I'm gonna name you some fighters, and I want you to say just one word, the first thing that comes to mind. Right? Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Legend.
Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Legend.
All right. Raleigh Romero.
Sloppy.
Tank Davis.
Strong.
Okay. I'll do one more. Teofimo Lopez.
I don't really think much of him.
There you go. It doesn't think much of him. There you go. You have any final questions, Milcar?
No, just want to thank Rayo for gracing us with your presence and with your time. It's been a pleasure to speak to you here. Actually, I do have one last question. What's the next fight you're going to be at?
I'll probably be at the Terrence Crawford Earl Spence fight.
There you go. I will. I'll try to get out to that one, and hopefully I see you there too, bro.
So for sure. Shoeshine, any final words?
I do, yeah. Rayo, someone with your impressive KO percentage already is going to have an easy time getting a fan base. But we know Seattle's not really a fight town. So where would your optimal home fan base be? Is it Los Angeles?
My country. My country. I'm Mexican. You know what I'm saying? I grew up here. I love Seattle, but I fight for my country. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm from. And of course, anywhere there's a lot of Mexicans, Latinos, they're gonna take me in because I'm one of them.
Yeah. Well, quick follow-up question. I've been to Seattle many times. I love it, but I've never had good Mexican food, man. Where does the Rayo go for Mexican food in Seattle?
Yeah, there's maybe one or two spots, but there ain't nothing. No.
That's why he went over there. He stays in shape. He stays away from the Mexican food.
I guess you got to go for the fresh fish tacos at Pike Place, right?
I'm usually eating something else or something, but I'll tell every here and then I'll hit a spot, maybe with high hopes, but it never hits.
I do want to ask you as a Seattle resident, what's up with the gum wall? I went to Seattle about 3 years ago. Have you visited the gum wall, and did it gross you out as much as it grossed me out?
I didn't know what to think about it. I guess that's what people do. I don't know. I guess that's what they're into. I mean, I'm a little different, but I mean, I just thought maybe some people, I don't know. Maybe white, I don't know, other people like they into stuff like that. So.
Gotcha. Major Key, final question, real quick.
No final questions, just two quick comments. First and foremost, keep us in the loop if you ever run into Sasquatch running through Seattle. Number one, right? And number two, all right, you're doing great right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure that you keep a good focus because this boxing game is serious, man. And we're all rooting for you. That's why you're on here, man. And all of us specifically are interviewing you. We're boxing pugilists, and we love what you're doing. So make sure you always have a good head, keep discipline. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the ring, do what you do, man. You know what I'm saying? This is your career. This is your family's bread and butter. So just stay focused, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say to you, brother. Peace and love, pugilism.
Definitely, bro. I take your advice. And I'm very grateful for you guys' support, and for your interview. I used to dream even about simple things like this, interview and stuff like that. So, I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your time, brother. That's all our questions for today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to have you back on in the future, man. You have a great one, brother.
All right, my man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was Jose Rayo Valenzuela. That guy has a future. Let me just tell you right now. Okay, I'm just saying. All right.
Very good head on his shoulders, man. Gotta say. You know what I mean?
That's right. I think he's a problem for a lot of guys. You know what I mean? Now, before I let you guys go, I just want to go one by one here. Just give me your quick thoughts. Shoe shine. I'll start with you.
Rayo's got a humongous future, and although all the belts are with Top Rank right now with Haney, man, he's got three or four fantastic fights that I look forward to at PBC. One is Michel Rivera. I don't know how this guy's opponent in September's ranked higher than Michel Rivera. You've got Raleigh Romero, who can talk himself into the greatest fights, and then you have, of course, Tank Davis as a possibility. So, sky's the limit. Despite no belts being available at PBC, I see a really bright future for this kid. And hey, and D-South, thanks for having me on my show, on your show. Don't forget to check the show.
My show, your show. You know what I mean? It's all our show.
It's everybody's shows, yeah. And I'll be on later tonight on the Shoe Shine if you guys want to come through. I appreciate y'all.
Have a good one, brother. Everybody check out the Shoe Shine tonight. Major Key.
What's up, man? What's up, man?
What are your thoughts on? Actually, Dave didn't even let me ask the question I was going to ask. But what's your take?
My bad for throwing the Sasquatch in there, but he is over there in the fucking Yellowstone area. I even asked TBH about this. He knows that, bro. Anybody from Yellowstone or Appalachian, I'm going to ask you those Dogman and Sasquatch questions. But nevertheless, to be honest with you, I was kind of trying to get them to open up about experiences and stuff like that, because those type of things are important. You know what I'm saying? It helps connect you to the crowd, like the people listening and stuff like that. So
very locked in on the sport.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to do with that. But yeah, man, like as far as what was the next question? I mean, what was the next question?
I was going to ask you, what did you think about Teofimo Lopez's performance on Saturday?
Okay, so I liked the fact that it was Theo coming back and he looked sharp, but it was against Campas, right? So I get it. Like he deserves a stepper fight after dealing with what he had to deal with. But it was versus Campas, so I'm not gonna jump out the window with the whole experience. He did what he had to do. I personally felt like, and this is just me personally, I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I felt like the Xander fight and his fight both got stopped a little prematurely. And Steve Willis is actually one of my favorite refs ever. So it's not even against Steve Willis and nothing like that. I just felt like it was like there should have been. I felt like he was more in the fight than what they gave him credit for. Yeah, he just got dropped or whatever, but he was still like throwing blows back. I felt like it could have lasted a little longer, but maybe that's just me wanting to see more exciting stuff, because I felt like the same way I felt about Gary Antoine Russell getting robbed of the knockout because the ref stopped it. I felt the same way about both of those fights. I felt like if the ref didn't stop it, they could have gotten those accolades of that knockout being real, where everybody could see, oh shit, he knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that's what kind of interrupted my joy for Saturday night.
All right. Hey, brother, I want to thank you for joining me here. Hope to have you back on Aftermath, and we'll keep in touch, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. That's Major Key, everybody. Maestro. First of all, any final thoughts you have on Rayo, of course? And I think he's a great kid. But and what you think of Teofimo Lopez's performance?
Great kid. Rayo's a great kid. He's got a great story. He was basically discovered by Jose Benavidez Sr., who he considers to be like a father figure, kind of like an adopted member of the family. So great story there. Dave asked a very interesting question about, him trying to find a town that's more popular in terms of boxing. But I think he should try to develop a fan following right there in the Pacific Northwest. Like, why not? Like, we need more vibrant boxing markets, Why not turn Seattle into a boxing haven? I mean, They don't have the Seattle Supersonics anymore, right?
Oh, please don't bring that up, Maestro.
Well, I mean, it's been
They
a
don't got no
while.
basketball team.
It's been a while since the Rain Man was active. You know what I mean?
Oh man,
We paid.
Yeah.
It used to be my favorite NBA team for a little stretch when it was Gary
Yeah.
the Glove and the Rain Man, and they took on the Bulls in the final. Trust me, I remember all of that. That was my team. So I mean, look, there's definitely a market there for another sports commodity. I mean, that they have the Sounders there that are doing pretty well with soccer. You know, obviously the. Anyways, I'm going off topic. So I think he's a great kid, long story short. As for Teofimo, I mean, look, he did what he had to do against a guy who is below average for the 140-pound division in Pedro Campa. I mean, nobody gave Campa a shot, you know. And at the end of the day, I think it's very interesting that the father thinks that the next fight is going to be a pay-per-view fight at the big room of Madison Square Garden. I mean, that's delusional. You know, that's ridiculous. Also, I mean, I said this on my show, Mano a Mano, but it's like, how does beating Pedro Campa leapfrog you over Sandor Martin, over Subriel Matias, over, name your 140-pound contender, Barbosa, for a title shot? I mean, that makes no sense to me. Like, why do you leapfrog over these dudes based on a knockout of Pedro Campa to get a shot at the winner of Cepeda Prograis or Taylor Catterall, or name your other title fight? It doesn't make much sense. I think he's got more proving to do at 140. You know, I wish him the best, and we'll see how that goes. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. You can stay a little longer if you want, brother. It's up to you.
You got a little bit more time, you know.
Okay, cool.
Physically.
But I know Christine. But before you go, Christine, really quick, Remy, shout out to you, brother. D-Style came in by to show support. Panel, Chetty, I appreciate it, brother. What's going on, Christine? I know you had a little something to say. You know what I mean? From what I understand now, that's what the.
I mean, I was watching the last show, and I was like, I had a lot to say, but I couldn't jump on. Yeah, I was. I don't know what we're talking about right now, but I had seen some comments about. I think it was the boxing historian saying that the Olympics were overrated, and I was just like, you know,
so what you
that
did
kind of struck a nerve. Struck a nerve, honey. Because people don't realize. I mean, so
let them have it, sis. Let them have it.
First of all, I have to say that
you're gonna
Rayo
sit there and
correct.
take it, TBH. Go ahead.
Was correct about there's so many champs that cannot afford to go to nationals. There's not. It's not officially out yet, but I have just been hired within what I'm already doing to be a scout for female talent and female coaches that are not able to go to nationals. So before and after the Olympics, that's what I'll be doing, because we do realize that there's a lot of people that cannot afford to go to nationals, and there's so much talent out there. I had some myself, you know, back in the day. But for anyone that believes that the Olympics are overrated, I'm going to keep some of the cuss words that I would like to say, because these kids are fighting the top boxers from the number ones, the number twos all over the world. And they are fighting numerous times, up to 4 times in one tournament. And we are very active. It doesn't get any better than that. I'm sorry for.
He's right next to you, by the way. If you want to look right at him, you want to just.
I'm looking at you, baby. I'm looking at you. Trust me. I've been here. I've seen it. The stuff we've been through, they've been through. Even the last squad, the last Olympians, where we got 3 silvers and a bronze. We were going through COVID shutdown. It was unfreaking believable. People make fun of people with mental illness. Trust me, this is real, especially when you're going through all that crap, training, having to beat the top prospects in the world that will one day be world champions, and going through COVID. And we're still going through it. So I just, when people talk, it's like, you have no clue. None. Zero. So it does strike a nerve with me because I'm with
And
these
by
kids every
people,
day.
you mean?
Whoever said it,
Well, I didn't say
I'm
it.
just saying.
Bruce
I'm
Gold
just
didn't
saying,
say it.
if the
Maestro
shoe
didn't say
fits,
it. Glenn
if the
didn't
shoe
say it.
fits,
I
lace it
definitely
up.
say that.
Lace it up.
Oh,
408
okay.
didn't say it.
I'm gonna give you some ammunition, though, TBH. Just bring up Audley Harrison, and you could
Yes,
move
TBH.
Audley Harrison.
But
Hey,
really quick, let
hey,
me get
no
my brother
more
Bruce
resistance.
Goss in here. How's it going, Bruce Goss? All Goss.
Styles,
No
my
break.
brother. Thanks for having me aboard, man. Maestro, Christina, the boxing historian.
I
man.
like how, like, now that we have a lady in the panel, you ain't taking hits of your stuff. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
love
that's
it.
what
It's
you
I
tough.
love it, Bruce.
That's my
Do it. I love it.
medication to.
You can puff it up. You know, it's all good.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Christine ain't gonna judge.
style.
At all. At all.
DPI.
Trust me.
Boxing is like weed. Can't stop, won't stop.
Once you get bitten, it's gone. It's over. In it for life.
Hey, Bruce, I want to ask you, what did you make of? If you want to say anything about Rayo Estrada, you can as well. But what you make about the performance of Teofimo Lopez?
Well, it was a fight where it was a really. I was looking at it from the point of view. I wanted to see what Teofimo looked like coming back from the punctured esophagus, the hand operation, the elbow operation. That was for a young kid. That's a lot to go through. A divorce. I mean, and who knows what's going on with Teofimo Senior, bro. But I was there for that curiosity factor. I wanted to see if he had it. His opponent. I mean, it was a decent fight, a decent comeback fight, but I won't make anything more of it than that. He's definitely not a ruler of the 140-pound division after this. But I would like to see him fight some name opposition. There's so many opponents in that 140-pound division. I mean, Barboza was in the ring calling his name. I didn't hear him say anything. I didn't hear him mention Barboza. But regardless, there's at least 10 opponents that we could pick at 140 that would make real interesting opposition. And Theo, man, he's a character. Boxing needs characters, man. I'm riding with Theo, bro. I'm definitely a fan of Teofimo Lopez. I thought he did as well as expected. He wasn't in there with a will beater, obviously, but he showed he was the real deal. He beat the guy up, but the referee just said, "Hey, man, this man has had enough. Let's just stop this fight." You don't see that too often. And so, shout out to Teofimo Lopez, bro.
That's right there. It happened right there, just like that.
Mhm.
Tony, we just hugged him. I have you, son. Like, hey, TBH. So you're from Seattle? You know what I mean? And Rayo's from Seattle.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So what you think of Rayo, brother?
Well, first and foremost, I remember seeing him back in Azteca boxing way back. I think 10 years ago. Just him and some other kids, man, was boxing. So I do remember him from way back then. But yeah, I mean, he has a bright future at 135. Don't seem like any of them guys want to fight anybody, and that guy's coming up, and he can crack, and he's a big guy, for 135, long reach, big height, willing to stay in the pocket and bang with somebody. So hey, anybody from Seattle that's a fighter, I'm going to root for just by nature, so it is what it is. And I didn't appreciate all that shit talking you was saying about my city, D Style. All right. I didn't appreciate that shit.
Who shit talking your city?
You.
How did I shit talk your city?
You was talking, you and Glenn and all them guys talking
All
about
I said
that.
was, like, it's not known as a big boxing town. That's all I said.
It used to be. It used to be back in the day. But
I'll tell you, there's a lot of uphill though. It's good for running. I'll say that.
Yeah, there are a lot of hills. Hill sprints does help up here. But
to be fair, there aren't really that many like boxing towns in the United States anymore that like put on major cards. Yeah. Just like we're talking like 4 or 5 cities.
Of course, yeah. It's not the Haiti, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
And Glenn just said it to you. He was just talking about Bigfoot. Ain't
no Bigfoots up here. I mean, there's coyotes. I mean, shit, coyotes and wolves and shit. Yeah, maybe a bear. But
I don't think Seattle was getting attacked like during the show. I don't know. But
to your question though about Teofimo Lopez, I wasn't impressed, man. That dude, he fought a guy that was pretty much, I can't call him a tomato can, but what I can say is that dude was probably C- level. And this dude did just come off of defending his 3 belts at 135, and he lost to the better man. But the excuses and all the other stuff, and yes, you're going through all the hard aches, but you know what? Fighting is the best remedy for anybody's mental health in certain cases. I mean, look at Oliver McCall, look at Mike Tyson, look at all them other crazy guys like Andrew Galata and them guys. Not saying it's an easy thing, but he's making a campaign at 140. You're trying to make a statement at 140 against the top level guys at that division, and not sitting up here saying, I mean, he knocked a dude out in the 7th round. He did what he had to do. I'm not knocking that performance, but what I am knocking is the fact that the man kind of struggled against a guy in Campa who is not a quality fighter from that standpoint. If this was maybe Victor Postal or somebody like that gave him problems, you know what I'm saying, then I can understand that. But he fought a guy that he should have put away in the 3rd round, to be honest.
To be fair, if I can interject, I think he needed this fight. I think, he was dealing with so many mental issues and a sickness that we didn't know about until they talked about it. And I feel as though he needed this fight before he goes for Postal or anybody else. Honestly, I would like to see, and I might be the only one, I would love to see he and Regis go. But I think that he needed this. He needed this for his own confidence. He needed it for his fans. And I thought it was perfect for what he had been through and what he was going through, in my opinion.
I don't know what Calix is putting down, like Thor's hammer. What was that? Like, boom! How's it going, Calix? How's it going?
I was eating some beef jerky and it was way spicier than I thought.
Like, well, boom! Like, whoa! What's going on? Real quick, Nando, shout out to the panel chat. Hey, look at that, all gas, no brakes, right there. Shout out to you, brother. Hey, Calix. What are your thoughts, if any, on because he's an up and coming guy on Rayo Valenzuela?
Who is this?
Rayo, the guy we just interviewed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, love him. I think he fits in well in the division, and what a loaded division it is. Is he ready or not? We ask that question too much, in my opinion. If a guy feels like he's ready, unleash him. Mm-hmm. Unleash him. That's how I feel. So we speak often about the older generations, and I think we need to get back to the basics of. The guy's ready.
Let's
go.
That's a good point. And I've always felt people ask the wrong. It's not if he's ready. It's is it time? Mm-hmm. And I feel those are two different things.
This is true, D. And the other thing too, luckily for him, developmentally, I mean, the top dogs, the beasts in the division are all with Top Rank. So it actually benefits him greatly that he's with the PBC because he doesn't have to get forced into a fight with Haney or Loma or Gambosis or any of the guys that have been fighting for the legit titles recently.
That's good.
But y'all did mention Keyshawn Davis. And
so what Keyshawn, like, first is that true, by the way? Because I felt I should have said allegedly said that. I should have said that.
I don't know if he said it or not, but I will say that Keyshawn is an MNF beast, and Rayo is too. But Keyshawn will definitely be a problem.
What are you trying to say, Christine?
I'm just saying Keyshawn
I'm trying to say
that. Problem.
Here's another thing. Here's another thing we need to talk about too. Is I feel like the young lions can't face young lions because we don't want to stunt their growth. I'm tired of that too.
Right.
When they do that with Virgil and Boots, that's played out. Like dudes need to fight each other.
What do you mean? You gotta wait till you're 29 years old, like Tank.
And Virgil has said he'll fight anybody. He doesn't care about the O. I love that. That's what we need. Fight the best. Young, old, whatever. It doesn't matter. Fight the best.
So tell me a Tank way doesn't work? Just fight nobody up till you're 28?
I'm going to tell you something. El Rao's knocking out Ryan Garcia. El Rao's knocking out Ryan Garcia, and he's giving
Right now?
Tank problems. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, if a past his prime Luke Campbell can drop Garcia, what about Rayo? Rayo probably dropping too. Probably
Luke
put him
Campbell
on.
wasn't old. Like people talk about him when he was like 35 or something. Like
Yeah, he
38.
was past it. I mean, you know, he wasn't old, but he's past it. He ain't the same guy. Just saying.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, Bruce, what do you make about the whole? Oh, they're not ready. You know, like what? Because that's like a new thing. That wasn't like a thing when I was growing up. Like back then, like they just threw you out there.
Mm-hmm.
You see, once
Like the mama bird just throwing like, hey, if you fly, you fly. If you don't, it is what it is. You know.
Well, see, once you become an elite pro, the kid gloves are off, bro. I mean, my brother Matt Chad's out in the chat, and he put it best one night. He said, "You're a fireman. You just graduated from the academy. You get into the station. There's a 5-alarm fire. What are you gonna do? You're gonna kick back? You're gonna stay in the station, dust the floor,
Yeah.
bro? It's bang! It's time to go, man. You're a pro, especially Teofimo. He's already a unified world champion, moving up, bro. There's no holding back. Cowie's right, bro. If the fights are out there, you take those fights because there could possibly be no tomorrow. You know, marinating. We talk about that all the time, man. That's a term I think YouTube invented that term, bro. I really do, man. You know, because I come from the day where a 22-year-old Thomas Hearns already knocked out Pepino Cuevas and he's going to the ring with Sugar Ray Leonard, bro. And you know, and I want to die in a generation like that. And all this fluff in the middle, man. Let's stop it, bro. You know.
Yep.
Real quick, and everybody could jump after this, but just a will unboxing. Theo needed this win to boost his confidence. Thank you very much.
I just said that. Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. But hey, Maestro, do you think there's a difference between is he ready and is it time? Because to me, those are two different things.
Well, I mean, we're the generation that had to live through, you know, Tyson fighting Lewis probably way after it should have took place. Pacquiao and Mayweather well after it should have taken place. We're about to see Errol Spence and Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. It's arguable whether that's taking place after it should take place. But you know what the funny thing is? All of those fights maximize revenue. So it goes to your question. There's when it should take place competitively, and then when it should take place after marinating for a long time, where you're going to get the most asses in seats and the most people buying pay-per-views. They're not always the same thing. You know, back in the day, guys fought each other way closer to their primes. Leonard and Hearns, you know, Leonard and Duran. Even people who thought that Hagler Hearns took place too late. Hell, it didn't take place as late as these fights have taken place. You know, so
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about guys that are fighting in like their mid to late 20s. People were complaining about the shit back then. These days, we're lucky if we get guys taking on each other in their mid 30s. You know,
here's another question though. Like, do you feel you said maximizing revenue?
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're doing that consistently though? Because yes, for certain fights they're maximizing revenue. It's true. Like Pacquiao Mayweather 4.6 million. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I feel like in over marinating fights, they're not building organic bases with the fans out there. They're not reaching further to where they could get into the casual fan base. If they were just giving us consistently a better product, I feel like these fighters would be bigger names. Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford should be bigger names than they are across America, and they're not.
I agree with you, Calix. The problem, though, is that by and large, the mainstream media has abandoned boxing. So right now, to create a big fight, a lot of the time what these promoters do is they just delay it, and guys like you and me and Christine and Bruce and Brian and D-Style will talk about it incessantly on YouTube, right? And generate interest that way. Because guess what? Even if these fights do take place when we would like to see them take place, Fox Sports, ESPN, all of these channels, they're not going to give a shit about it regardless anyway. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's a tough situation in that regard, because at this point, I was actually speaking to a Showtime executive about it at the Barclays for the most recent Danny Garcia fight. You don't get mainstream media covering these events. Not the weigh-in, not the press conference, not even the fight itself. It's all YouTube people. With channels with like my subscriber base up to like the 6-digit people. But there was no New York Times. There was no New York Post. There was no NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN, ESPN, FS1, Fox. None of those people were at this event. Nor, by the way, were they at the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fight either. The only mainstream media out there for that one was from Ireland and England. That was it. So, I mean, there was
So my question is, how did it get to that point? Because it feels like me to we're building an exclusive country club sport. We're pricing low.
I have an idea. I'll try to answer that.
Product.
Well, I'm going to let Maestro finish, but let me just get this out of the way before I forget. Remy, Brian, Christine, Body, you, my brother, man. Nando, Yama, Spence, Bud should have been a trilogy already. 100% college. Go ahead, Maestro.
No, I agree. Look, at the end of the day, this all goes to the decision to put boxing on closed circuit television, which then became pay-per-view. The minute you put it behind a paywall, it becomes a premium product. I mean, look, even at the heyday when I was growing up, HBO, Championship Boxing, Showtime, Boxing After Dark, that was all behind the paywall. That wasn't network television. And at the same time, I was actually talking to Joe Habib about this the other day, and I was telling him, boxing isn't necessarily conducive to selling a lot of advertising on mainstream terrestrial TV, because you look at the NFL, it's stop, it start, it stop, it start. Oh, timeout, stop, start, stop, start. Oh, timeout, stop, start, stop, start. Oh, TV timeout plus halftime. Like, boxing's not like that. So we have to understand that we are consumers of a premium product. We just are, you know. I don't see us going back to the olden days. And the main reason, too, because if you look at this historically, boxing was a very radio-friendly sport before the TV era came out. Who the hell listens to radio like that anymore for sports?
And to piggyback off of that, even after radio, there was only 3 channels, 2 channels, and 3 channels, and then when Fox came out, there was 4 channels. You know what I mean? And then go ahead, Christine.
No, I want to piggyback off of both of y'all too, but also today promoters are not promoting their fighters.
No,
they are relying on the fighters to promote themselves. So
100%.
This is also a huge problem. You know, I mean, we're like, oh, so-and-so's fighting this weekend. Wow, I didn't even know. You know, I mean, what are the promoters doing? They're supposed to be promoting promoters. What's going on? This is a huge problem.
Perfect example of that, Christine. We've got arguably the biggest fight, definitely the most financially lucrative fight. Against Sick. $120 million site fee was paid for this by the Saudis, right? The hell's going on with my cat? Hold on. So there wasn't announced a U.S. television market or broadcaster until Sunday, 6 days before the fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly.
Which is
in the U.S. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Which is unprecedented for a heavyweight title fight.
Unbelievable.
And like you said, the big dogs are not there. The big dogs are not there during all of this.
I think
to bring attention.
Look, to me, a lot of it is this, right? And people wonder, well, where does the obsession with the old come from? We know where it comes from. It comes from Floyd Mayweather. That's where it comes from, guys. All right? The obsession with the O and protecting the O is like counterintuitive to what boxing should be. Boxing should be about the best fighting the best. There's a hierarchy system. And then when they all fight the best, when all the dust is settled, somebody comes out on top. right? That's what boxing should be. It shouldn't be, oh, I got more Twitter followers than you, so my
Let's
fights
bring
mean
back the
more
big
than
purse,
than,
little
than your
purse.
fight.
You win, you get the bigger purse. Let's bring that back. You know?
Yeah, like that's true. Incentivizing fighting to the next level, meaning you get a higher purse because of that. There's higher prize money. I remember they used to try to lure guys into the big fight by offering them like record breaking money. Like when Whitaker's team wanted to rematch with Chavez and they offered them, they had that big check and they were like, we'll offer you $10 million to come fight us. You know what I mean? But now it's just different. Everything's different. You leave behind the guys on top leave back a legacy, and it's either positive or negative or both. Right? When Muhammad Ali left a legacy, he left a legacy of fighting the best. That's what he did. Name me one dude Muhammad Ali ducked. Name me one.
Nobody.
He didn't duck anybody. But he lost to this dude and that dude. Okay, whatever. But he fought everybody.
He fought him.
He fought them all.
There's one other thing too, D-Style, and if you look at it in terms of the UK versus the US, people say, oh, well, you know, in the UK, they don't have any other sports to watch. Not true. I mean, Formula One is huge there. Rugby, track, which they call the athletics. Obviously, soccer, which is called football there.
Soccer, yeah.
But HBO and Showtime, to a certain extent, created this problem too, because they allowed promoters to rely more on television network revenue than on selling tickets in arenas. Whereas in the UK, till this day, promoters are still seeking to put tickets in arenas and in stadiums. They don't care about that here because the TV deals pay more than the arena revenue. And worst case scenario, you're going to get a better check from an Indian reservation in Indio, California or Reno, Nevada than you are to put on a fight in an arena in a medium-sized city in the United States.
That's what I was about to say.
Can I get back to the three networks like D-Style was talking about for a second there?
Sure.
That's what made boxing real popular, real accepted, because you were watching that, but your whole family was watching that with you. Your mom was in the back doing the exactly Saturday afternoon, right around dinner time. Mm-hmm. So everybody knew what was going on. Everybody knew who Sugar Ray Leonard was because your little sister was looking at Sugar Ray Leonard and saying, "Oh, what a good looking guy!" And your dad is puffing his chest out, and it was a different time. Yeah. But dude, the thing was, it was just accepted. And everyone watched it. And even though they had like small arenas, they shot them from small Las Vegas arenas, from New Jersey, Atlantic City casinos, and even Indian reservations. They weren't worried about the live gate because there was so much publicity from free over the air, and people would talk about it the next day. Most of Ali's fights were on free TV. I mean, so many shit. I mean, damn, from the mid '70s,
worldwide sports.
NBC Sports World and CBS Sports Spectacular, and then even when HBO came on, that was reserved for the big fights. But see, that's when you just had cable, and that's when the whole family would gather around HBO because they saw these guys at 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. They saw Howard Davis and Sugar Ray Leonard and Tony Ayala, and I mean the whole crazy bunch of them. But that's the difference today. Today, fans have to be. They have to be sought online, and you get pay-per-view. And who's going to buy a pay-per-view that for somebody you've never heard of? And even the main events aren't even A side versus A side. There, A side versus a 10th ranked competitor. So boxing it's just different. I mean, it's based on guaranteed contracts. So promoters won't give fighters a fight unless they can guarantee that money. So they have to guarantee a date. They have to get an arena. They have to get so many different things. Back in the day, you could go to a casino, put the fight on. The networks would cover it, and these fighters became millionaires. And that's where they had the purses weren't that far higher than they are today. The Sugar Ray, he was making $10 million back in 1980, where today a fighter making $10 million is hats off to him. But that's really peanuts if you look at inflation and what they should be making. So I mean, boxing it's in a crazy world today.
We're doing something wrong. It's like Bud Crawford got so much flack for saying that the UK fans are the best like fans ever in the world, and people like criticized him. But it's true, they travel. We've all been to many fights where somebody from the UK across the pond is fighting, and they have a whole section in the stadium. What are we doing wrong? So they're not paying to pay-per-view. They're paying to go across the pond to the United States to watch their hero fight. What are we doing wrong? What is it?
I think we're too sensitive, man. I think
Well-
we have too much close communication, and every time somebody says the wrong thing, it gets taken the wrong way. And I mean, it just makes so much more complications between a simple mano a mano, a fight, a boxing match. Simplest thing in the world. Fucking cavemen did it, man. And we can't put together a boxing. We can't put together decent fights anymore. I don't know.
Well, here's what I'll say about it. I mean, like, in boxing it's been in this conundrum for the past 2 decades, and it's gotten worse this past decade since the 2010s. And I think what it is, don't get it twisted. You have other combat sports that's out there, like MMA with the UFC, and they're flourishing right now. People know about their fighters, know about all these fights because the fights are getting done. And now, of course, it's one promotion in the sport. Boxing is pretty much a free-for-all. But even with that being said, boxing has had a head start on pretty much everybody in the Americas, for that matter, and really all around the world. And what I think is that a lot of these promoters, they have a very 1970s, 1980s way of thinking in the 21st century. And that's a huge problem. Like, to me, I think right now with boxing, now of course the problem with the contracts, the problem with these guys not being motivated to fight each other, whether they're afraid or whether promotional differences or promoter differences with each other. Money, too. But even with that being said, why not utilize what everyone else is using, which is where the future of entertainment is, probably on these apps. You know what I'm saying? Why not try to get a deal with Amazon Prime or Hulu, or even, try to get other investors to come in and look at the sport and be like, look, let's promote this. Let's promote this with our team. Let's promote this guy with our team. Like,
what they had? They had sponsorship. That's what they don't have today. They had Chevrolet. I mean, they had Rolex watch sponsoring boxing back in the day. And it's just not. It's not a thing anymore. They don't have that revenue. I mean,
all they got now is Tecate.
To me,
Dorian, you know what else? You know what other sport had a head start on everybody in America? Baseball.
Yeah. And
Gary Vee talks about this ad nauseum. The issue that baseball has is it put with the BAM. They put that's the system they use. They monetized everything. Everything is now behind the paywall. Every piece of MLB, anything in MLB is behind the paywall. It's monetized on YouTube, all of it. So in doing that, you cut off a lot of the market and you price out a lot of the market. But also, he points out that now you can't point out, like, if the top 5 baseball players walk into this room right now, most of the country's not going to know who they are.
Well, and just to add a point to what you're saying, speaking of paywall, it became too damn expensive to play baseball as a kid. Like, if you wanted to go play pee-wee baseball as a kid, it just became expensive as shit. My mom couldn't afford it. I love playing baseball. My mom couldn't afford that shit.
But there's just one aspect of it, D-Style. Now it's getting too expensive to watch it.
Well,
it is. Go ahead, Maestro.
There's a couple things there, and I'm glad you used the baseball example. One, baseball doesn't have revenue sharing like the NFL does. So major markets like New York City, where I live, the Mets have a local television deal. The New York Yankees have a local television deal, and they could give a fuck about Kansas City or anybody else. They're just fend off for themselves. But I think the main issue is something that Christine works in. It's the amateur game. There's way more support for amateur boxing in the UK than there is for amateur boxing in the United States. In the United States, you're on your own. You only get any kind of support once you get to a national level. There's no local level support. Local level support creates local level interest. And those people that have local level interest, when they have turned pro, have local level support that goes to the small shows and eventually the arena shows, and when that's combined with a local football club, look, Ricky Haddon wouldn't have been what Ricky Haddon was and is if it weren't for the fact that he was Manchester City fan who aligned himself with Manchester City Football Club and absorbed that whole fan base. We don't support community sports in the United States. We just don't. Here in New York City, nobody gives a fuck about sports unless it's the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets. No one even cares about college sports over here, let alone high school, let alone youth sports. So it all starts with supporting amateur youngsters, right? And the community. Once you have a strong community, then you want to represent that community on a national and international level. We don't have that here in the United States. We just don't.
True.
Another issue.
Wants to know, what about the Knicks?
No, here's the thing. I'll give you Look, New York City is a terrible city to live in if you like sports. If you like professional sports, if you like professional sports and paying a lot of money to go to sporting events, it's great. Okay. But
that's what you mean. Let
me ask you this, panel. What's the Division I basketball team at a public university in New York City? There isn't.
Heard of them.
There isn't one.
So let me ask you this: like, how much is if you just want to go see a Yankee game? Like, how much does that cost?
Well, I mean, you could get bleachers tickets for not that much, but they're not great seats. But there's no college sports. There's no UCLA. There's no Miami U. There's no University of Washington.
I get it. I get
New
it.
York City
Dallas Cowboys is all we have in Dallas. Like
New York City college sports here, okay? Public school New York City college sports is Division III. There's not
Louisiana. One thing Louisiana does well is Louisiana supports from below high school.
Watch out, everybody! Watch out!
All the way to college, all the way up into the pro. So that's good. But one thing I want to touch on, y'all spoke about the promoters earlier. Christine,
really quick, Kelly. Texas does everything right except boxing judges.
Wow! Don't talk about my
Lawrence
boy.
Cole.
Don't do
Cole.
my guy. Don't do my guy.
And Lawrence Cole. But no, Christine talked about the promoters being lazy basically earlier, and it bleeds into the networks too. We're signing long-term deals with networks now between promoters, so the promoter no longer has to. Golden Boy no longer has to compete with Top Rank, main events, PBC in order to get their card on a particular network, so they can put out whatever crap they want, and they don't have to compete for the spots for a particular network anymore. So now we've got Matchroom with DAZN. We've got Top Rank with ESPN. We've got the Bloods and the Crips are just multiplying. You know, they're getting stronger and stronger.
100, yes.
Too many sects. So what I'd like to see is get rid of these long-term network contracts. But I already know we're not.
Make them work. Make them work.
Well, look at what happened to Fox. Fox pretty much kicked PBC to the curb because, the fights wasn't being produced and they weren't getting back. They weren't even breaking even, obviously, with what they were putting on Fox. And, HBO's pretty much done, after this merger with the WB and Discovery, but HBO, really was the catalyst to boxing. I mean, boxing back in the 90s, I mean, that was HBO was the order of the day, what I'm saying, for especially with the heavyweight division. So, it's a lot of little things that could be done, that could be retooled, but it's like, right now, like I think that if there was one governing body in boxing and if you got rid of all these useless sanctioning bodies who put what do they do? They make.
I just don't know
shit.
And don't be surprised to see Showtime start shying away from boxing.
Well, I was just gonna say though.
They're about to.
I just wanted to I don't know if one body would fix anything because look at the amateur system. I mean, you could argue some of their decisions are worse than the pros.
Well, you got to think. How many of y'all know right now?
AIBA, like
who's
they
on our national team?
Well, really quick, we're seeing they got boxing removed. Hopefully, they could reinstate it, but they got boxing removed from the Olympics.
Yeah, but that's
not quite yet, but it's coming. Yes. But the thing is, how many people right now, like how many of y'all or people at home know who's on our national team? How many of y'all know who went to the Olympics?
Well, I know because I
Olympics?
follow Christine Lopez, on Instagram. That's how I know.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like,
you know what's sad?
Crazy.
I can name more UK Olympic boxers than I can US Olympic boxers, and I live in the United States, and I get that literally just off of YouTube boxing media. Frazier Clark, right? I mean, he was a big deal coming out of the
Frazier, yes.
Not to mention Ben Whitaker, not to mention Kalia Fai. Like I could go on and on.
But you know what though? You could go on and here's the thing: you could go on, and then you have bronze medalists. And I want you to listen to me very closely, Christine. You have bronze medalists like Marlene Esparza, and they still get no respect.
He's in love. He's in love, guys.
I'm just saying.
We're putting it out there. He's in love. This has been the topic of our conversation for a long time.
Oh, you like Marlene Esparza, D-Style?
I like her
look at those
boxing.
hard eyes. Oh, look at those hard eyes.
That's why he's always defending her about her her physique.
She puts her feet up on the ring apron.
But y'all don't gotta stigmatize, so somebody says something positive.
I've told you my stories and my interactions, and
I got you.
You're in love. We good.
Hey, I just want to bring one more thing up before we gotta let Maestro go. Very random. This is random as shit, but it kind of tied to this. Like, I personally, this is just me. I miss ESPN Friday Night Fights. Like I do. Yeah. I miss what it was. I miss, like, I could accept what it was. I could accept like a mismatch on Friday Night Fights. I knew what it was. I could accept like a guy coming off a loss in a mismatch, or a young gun against like the journeyman or the gatekeeper. They were always interesting to me. Like, they just were. And then they had like the studio where they would talk about all the big boxing news and stuff. I miss Friday Night Fights for what it was. I think boxing is missing that mid-tier show or that lower-tier show.
I think we have to even go to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Thursday for the ones that are not quite the prospects yet, but they're coming. They're up and coming out of the amateurs or whatever.
This Teofimo fight
Thursday,
is
Friday, Saturday.
Before I let the rest of the panel cook, this Teofimo fight was like a Friday Night Fights fight.
100%. And I remember the names from back in the day. You guys remember Ray or Sucre Ray Oliveira? You know
he was from 20 miles where I'm sitting.
Right? Or
New Bedford, Mass.
Right there you go. Or Irish Mickey Ward.
Alan Green. Hall of Fame.
Emmanuel Augustus. Like, I remember that time when
Emmanuel
Tuesday Night Warriors
was there a few times.
Right?
Yeah.
But here's the deal. What the fuck is stopping ESPN from putting that on an app right now? Putting ESPN Friday Night.
What's stopping YouTube from putting it on YouTube, man? YouTube has the boxing core right here. What's stopping some geniuses from putting together a federation and televising live cards?
ProBox TV is trying to do it, but ProBox TV doesn't have the billions of dollars that Disney has behind it. Like, anyways, look, I got to keep going. I want to thank D-Style for bringing me on. I appreciate it. Always great to see my sister Christine, my brothers Bruce, Calix, and Brian, bro. We got to connect more often. Thank you for the invite. I'll see all you guys later.
For sure, brother, for sure.
Thanks, brother.
Really quick, I am doing this time. Says, okay, guys and lady, if you're a god and you could do anything you wanted, how would you fix boxing? Elevator sales pit style, 2-3 minutes. Let's start with you, Christine. How would you fix the sport?
So first of all,
control everything.
I'm God. First of all, I think that one of the things that Master was talking about was the community has to get more involved in the amateur program, because there's so many champs out there, freaking talented ass kids. And my kids were some of them back in the day when I couldn't afford to take them to nationals. Then when we get there, we're getting silver and bronze. One of my sons was on World Series of Boxing. But if I was able to have afforded it at the time before, when I was a single mother, who knows what would happen. We need to come together. We need to support our youth. You know, I talk to many people and they're like, oh, it's violent. Oh my God, no. You know what? There's something for everybody. We all need something. So that's number one. Number two, how do we get these up and coming champs, Olympians, and future champs in the spotlight where people know who they are? They're a household name. You know, like, you know, the UK. Like, why are we not traveling across the pond to support our champs? Many things. There's many things, but I think that support and finance has a lot to do with it. And like I said before, who knows who's on our national team right now? Who knows who's in camp with me? Who knows or can predict who are going to be the next Olympians? Did you know that we had 3 silver medalists last Olympics? Did you know we had a bronze medalist? Do we know who our head coach is? Who the coaches are? No. What are we doing? Let's change all that.
Okay. Bruce, and it's happened. You could do anything you want, change whatever you want to fix the sport of boxing. How to do it?
Well, like I said earlier, it's an internet platform over here, bro. If I were running YouTube, and I see, man, I see there's so many boxing channels on YouTube, so many people watching boxing. I would zoom in on those people, and I would present live cards. I would get some people with some knowledge and some money behind them. So, like you said, D-style, a mid-range, like a Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights, but be consistent. Not have the backing where you're not going to give up after a few weeks and it doesn't show. You're gonna show this every week, like they did, like we knew Sean O'Grady, like we knew Al Bernstein, man. They were in our homes every week and do something like that. And I think that'll catch on. I just think they have to have patience with it. And it's not the same world as it was. It's not going to be a situation from the past. It's got to be something new, and it's got to use this internet platform. And I think this is the way it should be done. I think that they should get in there and they should have enough money to match these promoters that want to take fighters their way with money. They should have I mean, we're talking about $1 billion fucking $1 billion YouTube and Google. Even if they have a boxing wing that's just breaking even, or God forbid losing money, I don't even think that would happen. I think they'd have enough resources, and if they could get the brains of some former fighters, some disillusioned promoters, bro. I that's the way I'd go, man. I would go the YouTube route, bro. And man, and I think if I had the backing, I think I could single-handedly put boxing back in the fucking red once again, my brother.
All right.
I'm sorry, I put it black.
I want to give a shout out to El Chido Boxing. There's too many people criticize people for trying to talk about upcoming fighters because no one is talking about it. It's not popular. So the community kills it themselves. Amen. I agree with that. I think a lot of content creators got to do more to put the top, like the unknown kids out there. I do my part. I could only do so much. Christine could only do so much. Yeah. You know, a lot of us could only do so much, but I think most got to get on board because that's the future. You know what I mean? Like that's the future of the sport. Hey, Calix, if you're a guy, right? Like if you're gonna do whatever to fix the sport, what do you do? 2-minute pitch.
Real quick before that, this comment is right on point. I love this comment right here because everybody's chasing the clicks. Everybody's out there talking about Spence versus Crawford instead of the guys coming up. Nobody wants to talk about the Japanese fighter in the lower weight classes because it doesn't generate clicks. So that's why we get what we get. If I could do one thing, I would, if I was God, I would get Al Heyman.
God can do whatever you want. God doesn't have one thing. You know what I mean? God.
If I'm God and I can only do one thing, I get Al Heyman to go back to promoting concerts. That would be.
Hello.
Would be
I'm with
thing.
you. I'm with you.
Hey, I
that would be
with
number one. But no, look, no long-term deals with networks for each promoter. Each promoter has to compete with each other in order to get their fights on a particular network. That's number one. No long-term deals with fighters. No 5-fight deal, 7-fight deal. Each fighter goes short-term deal after short-term deal, like NBA players are doing now. And that way, promoters have to consistently compete for their talents. And on top of that, long-term deals. I was told by an underboss for a promoter on Twitter last week that the reason we're getting Deontay Wilder on a pay-per-view is because Deontay Wilder is locked into a deal, a minimum deal, and we either get him on pay-per-view or we don't see him fight. To me, that's not acceptable as a fight fan. It's just not. You're the one who promised him this. I don't want to see him on pay-per-view against Helenius. That's just me. So none of these minimums that prices the fight. And you know another thing it does? This is the biggest problem in boxing. And it goes back to what me and Bruce were talking about earlier with boxers not building an organic fan base. They're not in front of people's faces enough. They're fighting one time a year. You can't build an organic fan base fighting once per year. The biggest epidemic we have in boxing is the part-time fighter. And we built a system in where a part-time fighter can make enough money to be a part-time fighter. It can't happen. It can't happen, D-Style. So the sanctioning bodies also have to work for the fans instead of working for their own self-interest. That's another big problem, right? So each sanctioning body, there's a governing body, D-Style, I don't know if people know this, that oversees what the sanctioning bodies do in America. And they can kick the sanctioning body out of America. They can. So what I want to see this body do is say each sanctioning body can only have one belt per division. That's it. If you have more than one belt per division, you're out of here. Go to another country. You can't do business in America anymore. So I'd love to see that. That would clean up the sanctioning bodies. On top of that, a clear and transparent ranking system that makes sense for each sanctioning body. And if they're caught taking money under the table in order to get fighters to the top, you're out of here. You get one time. You're out of here. You're gone. We'll move the IBO in or somebody. You move them in your place. IBF, get out of here. IBO, come in. We have to get this going, but not going to happen. None of it's going to happen. Because I'm told constantly that it's not going to happen from other fans, so it's not going to happen.
TBH, what's your pitch? If you had the power of a god, you could control anything in boxing and change some things. Give us your pitch. How would you fix the sport?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, if I'm, salute to everybody that gave their picks and how they would run it. But if I have God's power, right, I'm not negotiating with nobody.
Fair.
Mauricio Suleiman, I'm going to snap my fingers. He's not going to disappear. I mean, he's not going to exist no more. Let's see, Eddie Hearn. I'm gonna turn him into a little boy because that's how he runs his shit. Al Heyman, he's gone. He's disappearing.
So don't make Christine disappear now.
You're sending them all to hell? You sending them all to hell? Is that what you're doing?
I'm sending them to the dead. I'm sending them to the
you send them to non-existence. Is what
Purgatory.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sending them. I'm sending them to Neverland. Who else? All four of these sanctioning bodies got to go. We're gonna name the titles like they used to be named. What, the NBA championship, heavyweight championship, one belt per weight class. They're all gonna be on. Let's see, what network would that be? What network should they be on? Oh, they're gonna go back on CBS. They're gonna go. Some of them, one of them, and all the best fights ain't gonna be on no damn stupid pay-per-views. All right, which is a dying platform. They're gonna go on Amazon Prime where you can pay maybe $10 for it.
Okay.
All right. That's what's gonna go down. And another person that's gonna be gone is Floyd Mayweather and De La Hoya. They don't exist no more. So problem solved right there.
Hey, Carmen Siri wants to know: are you Thanos or God? Because you're just snapping your finger.
I mean, well, God's the omnipotent one. Thanos is a cheap knockoff. If I'm more powerful than him, I could do this. I could snap my fingers too. You dig?
Fair enough. If I was God, I would just make all these motherfuckers fight each other. That's it. Like, that's it. Crawford Spence, you're fighting next week. Like, that's it. Like,
yeah,
like, I'm God. Like, oh no, you're gonna
not next week because I can't leave camp yet. Not next week.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll wait till Christine's back in Texas. You know what I mean? Like, well,
September
wait,
16th.
but I'm God. I'll just put you back in Texas. Well, what do you mean? Like
Okay.
just
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
You're right. You're right.
You know what I mean? Like, but I would. That's what I would do. I would make sure that like I like the idea of one champion. That's it. One universally, nothing before champion. Just lightweight world champion, not the lightweight alphabet soup mix of letters champion. No, just the lightweight champion of the world. That's it. It belongs to the world, and not to a sanctioning body, not to none of that. That's what I would change, and I would make all these people fight each other for real. Okay, that's personally what I would do. And that's just simple as that. Just make all these motherfuckers fight each other. I'm God. Like I said, fight or you disappear. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Give me the power of God. Like it's over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. Hey, I want to go around the panel here. I am excited about, and it's not just because I've interviewed him before, and I want to thank Christina. She pulled the strings behind the scenes to help me get Xander Zayas on. So shout out to her. You know what I mean? She never likes getting credit. Look at her. She doesn't like getting credit. Look, she gets all like, give her credit. Everybody congratulate Christine. Give her credit.
Whatever.
But yes, Christine. No, but in all seriousness, Xander Zayas, great talent. He's 19, and I'm seeing people on Twitter like, oh, but he gets hit too much. Like,
fuck them.
He's 19. What were you doing at 19 years old?
Hello.
What were you doing? So I want to go around. Christina, I'll start with you. What you make of Xander Zayas' performance, and where do you see him in the near future, like in the next 3 years?
He's definitely the face of Puerto Rico and of boxing. He's so super talented. Yeah, he's 19. Does he make a few mistakes? Yeah. Who didn't at 19? Oh my gosh, I was pregnant. Like, are you kidding me? He is super strong, super smart. I've hit mitts with him. I've worked his corner. He is freaking strong. He's the real deal. Centeno is a great coach. Peter Pan, a great manager. He has perfecting athletes, the best nutritionist in the world. He's the future. He's definitely the future. But before I close out, I just want to say, TBH, I wasn't picking on you. I just wanted to say that no, because I think that he actually represents probably 70% of boxing fans, because they don't know what these Olympians go through. They don't know how important it is to have an amateur background, and they don't know that a lot of amateurs cannot even afford to go to nationals to get ranked. So I'm not picking on you. I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad I could clarify.
Okay. Hey, well, what you make of Xander Zayas, Bruce Goes? Or Gas, I'm sorry. Gas. Well, you're muted, brother. We can't hear you. And I cannot unmute you.
And I got 3 screens going on over here, and the left to move to the right and everything else. But anyway, yeah. Oh, extremely impressive, bro. And 19 years old, he was in an 8-rounder. And he was co-main eventing. It was beautiful. I can't add anything Christine didn't add. I mean, she knows the nutrition aspect of it. She's held pads for the man. Like I said, 19 years old. This looks like Wilfred Benitez reincarnated, man. And this is what Puerto Rico needs, because right now, Edgar Berlanga, people are on the fence with him. Fresh new name.
I want him to get a new trainer.
Well, anyway, man, I was thoroughly impressed. He put on a great fight, probably better than the main event, and I see nothing but positive things. Stay on the straight and narrow. Stay in the gym. I saw how hurt he was not making the Puerto Rican Day at Madison Square Garden, and you could see that he was so sincere. That's the special part about a champ, where next year just bite the lip and get back on the horse and do it again. So yeah, I see nothing but good things for Xander Zayas.
Okay. It's Kalish, what you make of his performance, brother?
Loved it and love him. And look, Berlanga cannot highlight Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend anymore. So it's got to be Zayas immediately next year. It's got to start in 2023. It has to. It can't be handed off. The baton can't be handed off from Cotto to Berlanga. That just can't happen. That can't happen. So Berlanga and Fat Joe have to disappear. Terror Squad had its time. Berlanga had his little time. He needs to go. All right, it's got to be Xander Zayas' time immediately in 2023. I like what he's doing. Good kid, marketable kid, knocks people out, has bad intentions in the ring. He's got it all. Move him. Let's go. It's time. Like we said, it's time. It's time. Move him up. Get him in there. He should be fighting. I feel like he should be fighting 12 rounders by the middle to end of 2023. Right? I mean, we're in August 2022. 8-rounder. Yeah. The next one should be maybe one more 8-rounder, then the 10-rounder. So maybe 2 10-rounders and then a 12-rounder late 2023. But I really want to see him highlight Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend next year. And I just feel like boxing needs the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry to be complete. Like it needs it. And it hasn't had it at the top because there's no Puerto Rican star out there right now. Doesn't exist. Xander's got to be that guy. Because if not him, then we got to wait another couple of years for the next young kid to come up.
For sure. TBH. What's going on, brother? You all right?
I'm straight. Hey, by the way, Christine, none taken. I was just saying that. I was just saying what I said.
Yeah, he's humble and defeated. Look at that. I mean,
I was just saying that from my my experience boxing 10 years ago.
But what you think?
I just didn't think much of the Olympics, but hey, you know, cool. It's easy. It's cool.
Xander
Zayas though. I mean, a 19-year-old shit. I mean, I started boxing at 19. I mean, this kid's 19 years old and he looked like he the real deal, I mean, punch placement, the power, I mean, is definitely there. In the punch placement, the poise and the ring generalship and the ability, his combination punching, and he has the IQ in the ring that's very unprecedented for somebody that's not even 21. You know what I'm saying, in the ring, and that's something that's very scary for guys that's at was it 154 that he's at. You got to be very afraid, even at 160. That's not too far away. I mean, you should be in fear for them guys at 154. Charlo, and them duckers, them cowards at 160. They better fear this man, because this young man, because he is the real deal. And give him about 2 years. There's no way he's not a champion. There's no way he's not a unified champion, in my opinion. So, hey, Xander Zayas is the best prospect in boxing right now, and there's a hell of a lot of young, talented fighters under the age of 23 and under. He's the best prospect right now, and there ain't much that can't be said about him, man.
Look, man, I am so impressed by Xander. I just am. He is. If I'm looking at a 19-year-old, I know he's going to be 20, like early September or something, but like Remy put in the chat, but I mean, I got to grade him by his age. I got to grade him by, of course, it was Benitez who became world champion at age 17, which is crazy.
Yeah.
No one, mark my words, no one will ever become world champion at age 17 ever again. That will never happen. Right? That was amazing. That's an anomaly. But Xander Zayas at 19 years old, fighting grown-ass men and dispatching and destroying them, and knowing the obvious that he's going to get better. Age 20, 21, 22, he's going to get better. Like, I'm grading him by his age, where he's at. Of course, he's not perfect. He's 19. Who's perfect at 19? Nobody. So all I know is he's got a future, and I'm rooting for him. I'm telling the whole panel right now, I'm rooting for Xander, and not just Xander. I'm rooting for all Puerto Rican fighters, man. Like boxing is just different, and it's in a better place when there's a Puerto Rican fighter on top. It's just different. Like there's something about having a Felix Trinidad on top, a Carlos Ortiz on top. Okay, about having a Miguel Cotto on top, like in the mix. You know what I mean? One of the top fighters in the sport. There's Puerto Rico is a powerhouse in terms of in the history of boxing, and I want to see a Puerto Rican on top. And another thing this kid has is he's got charisma. There's something about him that people gravitate towards. He's likable.
He was raised well. Yeah.
Yeah, like I interviewed him when he was 18 years old, Christine.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I was talking to an 18-year-old.
I know. He's so awesome. He really
Have
is.
you talked to an 18-year-old before, like recently?
Not like him.
Alex laughs, but I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Their head isn't there. Like, it's just not there. So all I'm saying is most 18-year-olds are, they look up to a Jake Paul. They're not actually doing the thing. You know what I mean? So for him to be where he's at, I'm impressed by that. It doesn't mean that I know the future and I know where he's going to be at age 23, but I have a feeling he's going to be somewhere. You know what I mean? Personally. I'm just saying.
Same.
Hey, D-Style, you forgot one Puerto Rican great.
What did I forget?
You forgot Amanda Serrano.
Amanda
Serrano.
Amanda.
I was going to say Gomez. Like, you know what I mean? Like Federal Gomez or something. Like, I forgot him.
Edwin Rosario.
No, you know what? Like
Amanda Serrano, baby.
All bullshit aside, we got to give our respects to Amanda Serrano. You know what I mean? I mean, she's done it. She's done it. You know what I mean? She's doing her thing. She's still doing her thing. She'll be fighting soon. So, look, I have nothing but respect for Amanda Serrano. You know what I mean?
No catch weight with Taylor.
Yeah, no catch weight, nothing like that. But what I'm saying is, she's a fighter's fighter. She could fight, you know what I mean? She could punch. She could box, she could do it all. So shout out to her. I have nothing but respect for her, you know what I mean? So shout out to Amanda for sure. And I think her and Katie Taylor did a good thing for not just women's boxing, but boxing in general. They did a great thing, to pack Madison Square Garden that way. You know what I mean? So one more question. I want to go to the panel to ask you guys about. I want to go back to Teofimo Lopez, if we may. First of all, Calix, can you ever give us your thoughts on Teofimo's performance?
No, I mean, it's just. I talked about it on my podcast earlier. I said last week, there's nothing you're going to find out from this fight, and I stick by it. I mean, we didn't find out anything, so I got nothing really to say about it.
Okay. So we're gonna go around. I just want to ask. So it's kind of a two-part thing. What do you think's next for Teofimo? And will he be a world champion again? We'll start with you, Christine. Ladies first.
So what do I think's next? I think that he needed this fight, like I said before. He needed it mentally and emotionally. And I think it really boosted his confidence. So I think that we're going to see good things from here on out. Do I think he will be a world champion again? I do, as long as the cards are played right and the matchmaking is done right. But as I mentioned before, the fight that I would like to see him in that I think would be a challenge, honestly, is Regis Progress. Like he's very heavy-handed. He's kind of wild, and that's the fight that I want to see. But I know that wasn't a question, but it is what I think. Yep. But yes, I think he will be a world champion again because of the matchmaking, for sure.
Okay, all right. Hey, Bruce Gas, give me all gas, no breaks here, okay? What do you think is next for him, and will he be a world champion again?
He's in some shock-infested waters, D Styles, and I think if he like Theo, I love Theo when Theo was on. I'm a fan of Theo. I think Theo is a fantastic boxer. He's a puncher, but he kind of let himself go. Like when he let that world's strongest man bang him in the stomach, and just hanging with his dad, which is crazy. The injuries that he had in this fight, I wanted to see if he was damaged goods or not. I saw that he wasn't, but now to move up again, like we all said tonight, man. No more marinating. Theo had his comeback fight. That was an easy payday. Now, look at somebody like Gary Antoine Russell. That would be a great fight. I mean, somebody like Jack Cottrell, even Josh Taylor, man. I mean, why not? Why not? He's there. He's what we just said earlier. He's on a guaranteed money contract. They have to pay him X amount, big dollars, and they're not going to get it from any from another. I don't remember the guy that he fought on Saturday night. What was his name?
Pedro Campa.
Pedro Campa.
Yeah.
They're not going to get another Pedro Campa out there to headline about and to pay him the money that they have to pay him. And so therefore, yeah, if he could possibly get to the title, but I'm not going to say they're all 50-50 fights. I'd love to see him step into deep water. Go see Josh Ramirez, let's see what happens, man. You're probably rated number one in some division at 140. So I mean, there's no turning back. It's either a championship fight or fight one of the aforementioned. And there's so many of them. Ryan Garcia, man, dude, come on. We could go on, and we could make fights that we'd all say yeah. So we don't want to see Pedro Campa again. We don't want to see anybody in that category. We want to see Theo trying to grab the brass ring, man. That merry-go-round doesn't go around too often. You're a young man, but man, get it. You were already unified, almost undisputed. Do it at 140, bro. Let's see if you got it.
Okay. Calix, what do you think is next for Theo? What do you think is going to happen next? And will he be a world champion again?
Yes, he'll be a world champion again. We'll get that one out the way. Number two, I do want to address this. I'm glad he's picking a weekend to stay on. He's fighting on ESPN. He's a ESPN fighter. What's big on ESPN is the Heisman Trophy presentation. So he's saying, this is my weekend. Canelo has his weekend, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Oscar, Floyd, and then Canelo had Cinco de Mayo. They have that weekend. And Teofimo saying, I'm an ESPN fighter. I want them to transition to me after the Heisman Trophy presentation. So it's good that he's coming right back. That's the biggest thing I wanted to see from Teofimo. I wasn't going to find out anything from this fight. What I wanted to know was he's coming right back after. It's inexcusable if he were to fight one time this year. He's not. He's going to fight a second time in the calendar year.
Well,
That's
he doesn't
big.
fight for PBC, so that won't
Right.
happen. Sorry.
True. So I wanted, but he just beat 2 years ago. Lomachenko was seen as the pound-for-pound king. He shouldn't be fighting in a ballroom 2 years later, so he's got to get that back. And the only way he can get that back is staying in front of people's faces and knocking people out. So do that. So, yes, he'll be a world champion. What I think they'll do next, it looks like the Barboza fight might happen, right? But what I want to see is much different. The Ryan Garcia fight should happen. Ryan Garcia is available. Teofimo's available. They both want to fight in December. Oscar was in the front row. Make the fight. They're going to make excuses about we can't do a cross promotion. We can't cross network with the Zone and ESPN. Get in the room. Figure it out. Even if you have to do a 2-fight deal, we'll do it on ESPN this time, the Zone next time. Get it done. People want to see Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez. We know Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis likely not going to happen, so do that one. They're both at 140. They're both available. Make the fight.
100%. Hey, Brian,
What's happening?
what do you think will be next for Teofimo, and will he be a world? And just to clarify, not a Reggie world champion, not a regular belt, silver belt, like a legitimate one of the top 4 belts.
Well, what's gonna happen for Teofimo Lopez's next fight? He's gonna get knocked the fuck out. If he fights anybody good, like Regis Prograis, like Ramirez, Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, Antoine Russell Jr. They're all beating the shit out of him. So he can, if he's looking for a title. He might get a title maybe at 135. Oh, well, I guess he said that he's killing himself to make that weight. He might get a title at 147, but not here though. Not at 140. Oh hell, not even at 147. Who the hell is he gonna beat at 147?
Hey, I'll say this, but there's gonna be an opening there for a vacant belt or a mandatory it's gonna fit him well. It's gonna fit him well, and he'll win.
Facts.
But they need to, like, Prograis would beat him. I'm telling you, Prograis would beat him.
Yes, I want that. I want to see that fight.
Prograis gonna beat the shit out of him, right? What about, okay, I'm gonna say this. Okay, you know what? There's a little bit of glimmer of light in the gloom. Jose Zepeda, he can beat. Jose Zepeda has power, but shit. I mean, that's a tall order, but everyone else, he's gonna get whooped. He's either gonna get outboxed, stopped, or knocked cold, clean out. But he might have a chance against Zepeda, but Zepeda got a high knockout ratio. So is it possible maybe like a 10 or 15% chance he becomes champion again? But I'm gonna be honest, this is gonna be his last hurrah.
Okay, all right. Somebody get rid of that weird account, by the way. If somebody can do that, thank you.
What the hell is that?
I can't see anything.
So look, here's what I
it.
think. Here's what I think. I do think, because, like, let's be honest, there's 4 belts. Like, he's going to get one of them. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like,
sure.
it could be worked out. He's got the name. ESPN, I'm sure ESPN is telling Bob, yo, we want Teofimo to be champion again. We want him on ESPN because of that date. When he fought Loma, they did 4 million viewers. Believe me, calls are being made. Believe me, they want him as champion. Like, they want him as a titleist for sure, right? So my answer is yes, I do believe, to my own question, that he will be a champion again. But I will say this, though. I hear everybody. I'm not here to tell everybody that Campa was a world beater, because he wasn't. He was there. Top Rank has some of the best matchmakers in the game. They knew what they were doing. They put him in there to lose to Teofimo. Anyone who thinks otherwise is crazy. Now, Campa came to win. I'll give him that. You know, the dude did his thing, but I think Teofimo needs a couple more fights before he fights a Josh Taylor or Prograis. But I would pick him against Ramirez. I would pick him against Zepeda. I would pick him against Barboza. You know what? Let me say, instead of going through the whole list, right now, I would only favor Josh Taylor and Prograis. That's it. Everyone else at 140, I would favor Teofimo Lopez right now, Calix.
But and look, that's fine. But don't say he needs a couple fights before he fights those guys. Look, he's out there saying he's the greatest fighter of his generation. He's out there saying it. So I don't want to hear that he's a couple fights away from Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis. And another thing, but in all seriousness, people who think Teofimo is going to disappear, you don't beat Lomachenko and just disappear. Like, I know some people might not be as high on Lomachenko as I was or still am, but he beat the arguable pound-for-pound king, and he beat him at his own game. You don't just disappear after that. You don't. He's going to be around. Teofimo is going to be around for a long time.
One-hit wonders.
Gary Antoine Russell did not look good his last fight. Like, I'm sorry.
True.
He's definitely – he will definitely beat him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not sorry.
But Postal makes everybody look bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he does. You know what I mean? Hey, I want to thank everyone that came on. First of all, shout out to Rayo, by the way. I think that kid has a future. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to watching him. You know what I mean? Shout out to Seattle. I know Brian said we were throwing shots at Seattle. No, we weren't. I love Seattle when I was there. Seattle's a great place. You know what I mean? And those women got thighs. Maybe because they're walking up those hills. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. That's it.
You know what? You're right. The only right thing you said was that right there.
Well, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But that's it. Christine, give us some final thoughts. Tell everybody where they could find you. Yeah, what's going on with the women this week? You know what I mean? Still hating on Marlene or what?
So women crush it every day.
Forget that last spot part.
But I will say that you can find us every Wednesday, me and my girls, Women Crushing It Wednesday, in the ring with Christine. Please subscribe. We have a lot of fun, a lot of boxing talk. We know what the fuck we're talking about, and check us out.
For sure, for sure. Well, Christine, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
That's
so
my
much.
big sis, everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I was
love
she
you
just
all.
bodied Brian. You know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But that was great to see Christine.
Anytime.
Women Crushing It Wednesday.
Yes.
All right, everybody tune in. I appreciate your time, Christine, like always.
Thank you so much. Good night, guys.
Hello, Christine.
Bruce Gas, all gas. No, tell everybody where they can find you first of all, and any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, brother, man. D Styles, appreciate it, man. You guys, you can find me at Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. And tomorrow night, I'm going to interview my friend Tim Witherspoon. Anybody wants to hear some good heavyweight shit, bro? I talked to Tim this afternoon, man, and he's coming over and he's gonna puff a few with me. So Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. You can come down and check me 7 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Time. D Style, historian. My brother Cali Boxing, man. Thank you so much for having me here. I hope to see you again next week. God bless, man. Peace.
Amen. Anytime, brother. You have a good one, man. Calex, any final thoughts, brother? Anything on your mind? By the way, catch me Tuesday, Wednesdays on Calex Boxing. We'll see what we got cooking. What do you got cooking this week?
No, and I wanted to say real quick, give a shout out to Bruce, because that Tuesday night he does with the older fighters, that's required viewing in my household. He does a great job with that. So anybody, if you're available on Tuesday night, check those out. But I'll be on 12 p.m. Central tomorrow. That's noon Central tomorrow with Ring IQ. Ring IQ is going to be over on my channel. We'll be talking boxing, particularly what's going on in the heavyweight division and some other things. And D-Style will be there. I haven't locked in D-Style for the 12 p.m. Central for noon, but hopefully D-Style will be there with us.
Ready to go.
Yeah, let's do it. And Ring IQ is going to be over there with us as well. But I appreciate you having me on, as always, and the boxing historian in the building. So I appreciate y'all, man. Always good talking with y'all.
Absolutely. Shout out to Calex. Have a good one, brother.
You.
Take it easy.
Yo, historian. This has been another edition, yet another one of the If You Fuck With TBH, You're My Enemy podcast. Man.
Well,
talk to me, brother. Whatever, and when I say whatever, it's whatever the fuck you want to say. Final thoughts, and tell everybody to find all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, man, it was a good show. It's somehow, some way, I just know how to make enemies. Obviously, sorry, Christine, but no, it was a really good interview you had with Seattle's own El Rayo. All right, great talk with y'all after the interview. Great topics, great panel. As always, great boxing knowledge. One of the best YouTube channels talking boxing right now. My man D-Style Boxing got a great thing going with the HEP, Hispanic Conzapanic. You understand? So yeah, man, much love and support and salute. You can find me at the Boxing Historian 206 on YouTube. Whenever I start get back active, check it out whenever you can. And I'm on Twitter as a Boxer 206 or some shit like that. So that's it. Salute. Much love, D-Style. Much salute to the panelists, the chat, the guests, El Rayo. I'm out.
Hey, shout out to TBH. Have a good one, brother. By the way, hey, I want to thank everybody that came on. You know what I mean? And look, I want to thank Major Key, giving us the time to come on here. You know what I mean? Maestro A, and make sure you subscribe to both those channels, by the way. All right. So I want to thank them both. Christine Lopez, shout out to In the Ring with Christine. Make sure you support her and everything. Of course, TBH, Calex Boxing will be on tomorrow. Check this out. Right now, do me a favor. Do me a favor right now. Whoever's here, I just posted the link in the chat. And by the way, Bruce Goss, subscribe to Bruce Goss. All right? If you don't subscribe to my brother Bruce Goss, you don't fuck with me. You know what I mean? Make sure you subscribe to him. That's number one. If you're not subscribed to him, you ain't cool with me. So subscribe to the dude. All right? That's Bruce Goss. That's my elder. That's my brother. That's my older brother. You know what I mean? That's my big bro. So shout out to him. And make sure you go to Shoe Shine. Give us this time to come on here. So let's do him a favor. Let's go right now to Shoe Shine Boxing. All right. Click on the link in the chat right now. I just posted it again. So make sure you go over there. You know what I mean? Show support to 408. You know what I mean? And show support to the Shoe Shine. I just posted the link. And you call in and all that good stuff. The number 702-710-3627. You know what I mean? So make sure you go show them some support, all right? 408's a good dude. Show them that support and all that good stuff. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out of here, guys.